Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because today we are diving into a massive economic story that is making waves across America. President Trump just announced something that could fundamentally change how we use money in this country. We are talking about the end of the US penny. That's right, the 1 cent coin that has been part of American currency since 1793 might be on its way out. This is not just about loose change in your pocket. This decision has serious implications for the economy, businesses, inflation, and even our daily shopping habits. So stick around as we break down everything you need to know about this financial shakeup. Let us start with what actually happened. According to recent reports, the Trump administration has ordered the cessation of penny production at U.S. mint facilities. Now, to be clear, this doesn't mean pennies are disappearing overnight or becoming illegal. Existing pennies will continue to circulate, but the government will stop making new ones. The announcement came as part of a broader cost-cutting initiative aimed at eliminating wasteful government spending. And here's the kicker. Producing a penny actually costs more than 1 cent. According to the latest data from the U.S. Mint, it costs approximately 2.7 cents to manufacture and distribute each penny. Think about that for a second. We're literally losing money by making money. In recent years, the U.S. Mint has produced between 7 to 8 billion pennies annually. When you do the math, that's hundreds of millions of dollars being spent just to produce coins that are worth less than their production cost. The administration is calling this an obvious inefficiency that needs to be eliminated. Treasury Secretary officials have indicated that this move could save American taxpayers over $100 million annually. In the current economic climate, where every dollar counts, this kind of savings is being presented as common sense reform. But let's take a step back and ask, how did we get here? Why has the penny become such a burden? The answer lies in three main factors: inflation, material costs, and changing consumer behavior. First, inflation. When the penny was first introduced in 1793, it had actual purchasing power. You could buy things with a penny, but over 230 years of inflation have eroded that value dramatically. Today, a penny has so little buying power that you literally can't purchase anything with it. Even penny candy doesn't cost a penny anymore. In real terms, a penny today has less purchasing power than what a dime had. In 1950, second, material costs have skyrocketed. Pennies are made primarily of zinc with a copper coating. The price of these metals has increased significantly over the decades. Combined with manufacturing, distribution, and storage costs, the economics just do not make sense anymore. Third, consumer behavior has shifted dramatically. We live in an increasingly cashless society. Credit cards, debit cards, mobile payments, cryptocurrency, all of these have reduced our reliance on physical currency. And especially small denominations, many transactions today are completely digital. When was the last time you actually used a penny to buy something? Several economic studies have shown that pennies mostly just sit in jars at home or get thrown away. They are not actively circulating in the economy the way they're supposed to. They've become what economists call functionally obsolete. Here's something interesting. The United States isn't the first country to face this dilemma. In fact, we're actually late to the party. Canada eliminated its penny back in 2013, and the transition went remarkably smoothly. Canadians adapted quickly to rounding cash transactions to the nearest 5 cents. Electronic payments weren't affected at all. They still calculate to the exact cent. The sky didn't fall, and the Canadian economy kept on moving. Australia phased out their 1 and 2 cent coins back in 1992. New Zealand did the same. Brazil, Finland, the Netherlands before the euro, Sweden, Norway, the list goes on. Multiple developed nations have successfully eliminated their lowest denomination coins without economic chaos. These international examples provide a blueprint for what the US transition might look like. The common thread. It is really not that big a deal once people get used to it. There's an adjustment period of a few months, and then it becomes the new normal. Now, let us talk about how this affects businesses, because this is where things get interesting. For retailers, the elimination of the penny could actually be a positive development. Here's why. Handling coins costs money. Businesses need to order coins from banks, count them, secure them, deposit them, and reconcile their cash drawers. Time is money, and pennies take up a disproportionate amount of both. The National Association of Convenience Stores has estimated that handling pennies costs retailers billions of dollars annually in labor and processing. Cashiers spend extra seconds counting out pennies for change. Those seconds add up across millions of transactions. With a rounding system in place, cash transactions become faster. In Canada's system, if your total is $10.12, it rounds down to $10.10. If it's $10.13, it rounds up to $10.15. Over many transactions, the rounding balances out. Sometimes you pay a cent or two more, sometimes less. Statistical analysis shows it's essentially a wash for consumers. Credit and debit card transactions, which now make up the majority of retail sales, won't be affected at all. They'll continue to calculate to the exact penny or cent, rather. Only cash transactions will use the rounding system. However, there are some businesses that might face challenges. Vending machine companies, parking meters, laundromats, and other coin-operated businesses will need to adjust their pricing structures. This represents a one-time adjustment cost, but most analysts believe it's manageable. Of course, not everyone is celebrating this decision. There's been pushback from several quarters, and it's worth examining their concerns. First, there's the traditionalist argument. The penny has been part of American currency for over 2 centuries. It features Abraham Lincoln, one of our most revered presidents, and for some people, eliminating the penny feels like erasing a piece of American heritage and history. Second, there's concern about rounding and its impact on low-income consumers. Critics worry that rounding up could disproportionately affect people who rely heavily on cash transactions and operate on tight budgets. While statistical models suggest the impact is negligible, the concern isn't entirely without merit. Third, there's the zinc industry lobby. The penny production business supports jobs and profits for zinc producers. These stakeholders have historically fought hard to keep penny production going because it's in their financial interest. Finally, some economists worry about inflation psychology. While a penny has little real value, its elimination could psychologically make people feel like their money is worth less, potentially affecting consumer confidence. There's also been criticism of the move as being symbolic rather than substantive. Some argue that while saving $100 million sounds good, it's a drop in the bucket compared to the federal budget deficit. And they see it as political theater rather than serious fiscal reform. So what actually happens now? What's the timeline and implementation plan? According to the administration's announcement, penny production will cease immediately at U.S. Mint facilities. However, the estimated 140 billion pennies already in circulation will remain legal tender indefinitely. You can still use pennies. There will just be fewer and fewer of them over time as they gradually wear out or get lost. The Treasury Department is expected to release detailed guidelines for businesses on implementing the rounding system for cash transactions. This will likely include a public education campaign to help consumers understand the change. Banks will continue to accept penny deposits, though they may eventually implement programs to take pennies out of circulation more actively. Some predict businesses will eventually refuse to accept pennies altogether, though that would be their choice rather than a legal requirement. There will almost certainly be legal challenges. Any major currency change requires congressional approval for permanent implementation, so expect this to become a political football in Washington. Some legislators are already voicing opposition, while others are supporting the move. The transition period could take several years. Canada's penny elimination was announced in 2012, with production stopping in 2013, but pennies remained common in circulation for years afterward. The U.S. can expect a similar, gradual phase-out. So there you have it. The end of the penny era in America. It's a bigger deal symbolically than it is practically, but it represents a real shift in how we think about currency and value in the modern economy. This move reflects larger trends: increasing digitization of payments, government efficiency initiatives, and adaptation to economic realities. Whether you love it or hate it, the writing has been on the wall for the penny for a long time. What do you think about this decision? Are you sad to see the penny go, or do you think it's long overdue? Have you been to Canada or another country without a 1-cent coin? How did that experience feel? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one and I love hearing different perspectives. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone who might be interested in economic policy or American currency. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because we cover major economic and political news as it breaks. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video where we will continue following the story and its implications. Until then, you might want to start checking your couch cushions. Those pennies might become collector items someday.